There was almost a sort of reverse It's a Wonderful Life dynamic going on.
Welcome to Holiday Film Countdown. I'm Jamie Walter, and today we are going to Chicago.
That's right. This film is Christmas with the Kranks, our 47th ranked holiday film. Hello, I'm Tim Walter. Empty nesters attempt to skip their traditional Christmas. Will they get away with it?
Our first guest is Eilish Borlet. Hello, Eilish. Please let us know what you're drinking and give us a quick thought on Christmas with the Kranks.
Right now I'm drinking a blood orange sparkling water, and previously I was drinking a wonderful margarita. And I did enjoy the movie. It was something I'd never seen before, and we had some good laughs.
Great. And our other guest is Geoff Borlet. Hey, Geoff, what are you drinking? And what are your thoughts on this one?
I'm having a margarita after a beer. And I thought the film was really, really good. I hadn't seen it before either, and it was surprisingly good, pretty funny, and good storyline.
And I'm having a ranch water, and I have seen this movie before. It's one of my daughters, who is 14, movies that she really likes. So I think I watched it one time with her, and I've seen it one other time. So anyways, I thought they did a really good job of portraying the typical suburban life.
All right. And I'm drinking a margarita as well. These are from Flores here in 4 Points, West Austin. Been there forever, relatively speaking. And I'm going to say this film is on our countdown for a reason. Once you get outside the top 40, you start looking for something to draw you in. And this one is just a little homier than a lot of the others, honestly. And it also gets a lot of play. So if you're flipping the channels, there's a good chance you'll see Christmas with the Kranks during this season. So it's included. Here it is.
That's right. The screenplay for Christmas with the Kranks is an adaptation of Skipping Christmas, a novel by mega-selling author John Grisham. It was adapted by Chris Columbus, writer of The Gremlins, The Goonies, and director of Home Alone and Harry Potter movies. Christmas with the Kranks is set in Chicago. This film is released in 2004.
Yes, Christmas with the Kranks was set in Chicago, but filmed just outside Los Angeles. Due to dicey weather, they just couldn't count on sunny conditions, so they knew where to go. The homes were all built on an abandoned Boeing aircraft lot. Christmas with the Kranks was directed by Joe Roth. He's a longtime movie executive and producer. His works include Bachelor Party, Major League, and about 50 other films. Joe Roth produced 1995's While You Were Sleeping, and we might actually see that one later in this countdown. Jamie Lee Curtis and Tim Allen star as the Kranks, Nora and Luther. Also, Dan Aykroyd plays Vic Frohmeyer, their pesky neighbor.
Eilish, what is your history with the Kranks? Have you seen this movie before, or?
No, I'd never seen it before, and I quite enjoyed it.
And you, Geoff, ever seen this one?
No, I hadn't seen it before either.
Is there anything it reminds you of that you've seen before?
Well, yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting at the end. There was almost a sort of reverse It's a Wonderful Life dynamic going on. Because you remember at the end of It's a Wonderful Life, because the main character had done so many great things for the community, everybody pitched in. And in this one, this guy had been kind of a jerk and trying to cancel Christmas. And yet, because they liked the daughter and because of the importance of Christmas, everyone pitched in to make sure it was, a wonderful holiday. So I thought that was kind of an interesting dynamic to the film.
I hadn't seen that, but I see it now. I wonder if that was intentional.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I've seen the movie before. This was my third time seeing it. It's one of my daughter's favorite Christmas movies. She enjoys it. Saw it the first time with her. She's the one who introduced it to me. I think that it definitely keeps you entertained and gives you that good Christmas spirit.
Yeah, I had seen it flipping channels, and only in prepping for this countdown had I watched the whole film. But it does give me a little bit of the Grinch Who Stole Christmas vibe. It's even alluded to in the story, but that one's pretty obvious.
Yeah, all right, then let's go ahead and check out the trailer.
Their daughter left town. The Kranks made a bold decision.
We skip Christmas.
Christmas? Isn't that against the law?
There's just one little problem.
Frosty better be here. They won't miss.
No! The kids are pretty upset.
Now they're teaching him. You can't
Relax, will you, Luther?
skip Christmas.
We got him.
Christmas with the Kranks.
All right. I think that the trailer did a good job of giving us a good summary of what the story's about. I found it interesting that they showed a Christmas tree up in flames and then a wrecking ball hitting the snowman because that wasn't there. And then there was one scene, I believe, that they took out. What do you think? What are y'all's thoughts on the trailer?
Yeah, I thought that the trailer did a good job of kind of giving you the sort of crux of the movie without giving away too much. You know, it was funny to watch, and it kind of stoked your interest in that, you know, thinking that, yeah, I would check this thing out based on the trailer.
Yeah, I agree.
They had a scene where he was getting his teeth whitened. It didn't make the film.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a longer film, by the way. So they had to cut somewhere. They probably could have cut a little more, but we'll get into that. All right. Christmas with the Kranks grossed $96 million at the box office worldwide, but it cost $55 million to make this film in 2004. Net profit of about $40 million, and despite poor reviews, it was not a flop financially. Also, The Polar Express was released that same year, 2004. This film was universally panned by the critics. It has a 2.7 out of 5 score on Letterboxd, and we will all give our ratings later.
Yeah, that's crazy. 55 million to make this movie, I guess, because they had to recreate everything, right? The neighborhood, it was all fake, right? And
Yeah, that's right.
in California.
Yeah, they had the largest exterior set ever for a film. 700 feet long with 16 houses on the block, all built for this film. It took hundreds of tradesfolk 12 weeks to build and prep. So payroll was probably pretty average. There's some star power, but there weren't really a lot of special effects. So they spent a fortune on building a street with a cul-de-sac.
Building suburban life.
That's right.
Plus the star power, I'm sure.
Yeah, hopefully they found another use for it. I didn't see what happened to all of that eventually, but that's a lot of infrastructure.
But what it says to me is that people want to see a Christmas movie because 96 million at the box office.
Pretty
You know.
good. We're always looking for the next one.
I mean,
Something that will linger.
that's right.
I have to say, you know, growing up in the Midwest and spending a lot of Christmases there as a kid, I thought they did a really good job on that set of remaking what it was like to be. It really looked like a Midwestern neighborhood. So probably the money was well spent.
Yeah. In matching you up with the film, I knew where you were from, and I knew this would be a fit.
Can I give a little trivia?
Sure.
So the Polar Express, it was set at Herpelsheimer's department store in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And it was a train that went around the basement of that department store. And when I grew up, I actually used to go to Herpelsheimer's department store and saw the train set that ran around the basement of the department store.
Okay, and then there was a book based upon the
There
train?
was, yeah, and the guy who wrote it had grown up in Grand Rapids and had seen that same train set, so
Oh, very cool.
bit of trivia.
Well, needless to say, we will be going Polar Express at some point.
All right.
All right. Well, what are your thoughts like on the setting, the town? Well, Geoff kind of gave us a little bit of his. Eilish, what do you think? How did they do with like the Christmas decorations that you saw?
They did a really nice job. Everything was very consistent. All the houses were looking fantastic. I wouldn't mind living on that street on Christmas. It was
Kidding.
very nice, yeah.
I agree. I think it definitely puts you into the spirit when every house on the block is decorated, and they seem to have a lot of the typical things that you would see in the movie. Even they had the mistletoe at the party, Santa. We saw Santa in the movie. Did we see reindeer?
Decor outside.
Oh,
One of
that's
the
right.
houses, yeah.
That's right. When he was chasing,
Yeah.
when Luther was chasing the little boy down, he
Yep.
ran into it, didn't he?
Yep.
The plastic reindeer.
Yeah, this one had everything but elves, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, no elves.
That's
Conspicuous by their absence.
How about the carolers?
Oh yeah, they showed up on the back of a truck, like a flatbed truck, right, with a trailer around it full of carolers to come.
Have you guys ever done any caroling?
Once.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah,
fun.
I did it once as a kid growing up in the Midwest at Christmas time, and it was so much fun. I think I was in the 6th or 7th grade, and we all kind of rolled our eyes when the teacher asked us to do it, but loved it, and it was, I mean, I still have that memory, so when
Yeah.
they showed that, it was great.
So you rolled your eyes, but did you admit it was fun afterwards?
I admitted it was fun afterwards.
To the teacher?
Maybe not.
Okay. All right.
She's listening.
That's where we're going. All right. And then the frosty on every roof. I mean, what an expectation. Someone's got to ensure that whole operation.
In the Midwest.
Yeah.
Steep snow roofs.
I loved it how in the scene where they go to the basement to escape the carolers, because the carolers will not stop singing. They wanted them to, I guess, come out and acknowledge them. So to escape it, instead of acknowledging them, they go down to the basement and they're sitting there like, okay, it's the quietest place in the house. And then they look over and they see Frosty and it looks like almost like it's evil,
Yeah.
right? Like it's mad at them, like it's going to attack them for not putting him out on the roof.
Oh, yeah. What'd you think of the neighbor's Christmas tree that they borrowed?
It was a beautiful tree, but I felt nervous about the decor and the decorations being smashed. It made me feel anxious a little bit. I could sense.
Oh, yeah. Which ornament did they hit?
The
Well,
punch.
well, especially Baby's First Christmas.
That was the one I noticed.
That was the one that I was like, oh no. We have one of those.
Yeah, moving a Christmas tree would be hard.
Yeah.
I think this was the best fake snow I've seen so far. I'm no expert like you, Geoff, but it looked
It was
genuine.
Yeah, it was pretty believable. Even as they were driving through it, it was pretty believable. Yep.
for Los Angeles.
But I will have to say at the beginning, after they drop off their daughter at the airport, and then they stop at the grocery because she's got to have some stuff that she has to make for the next day, and it's pouring down rain. I don't know if y'all caught on to this, but his jacket was like it was just sprinkling outside, but it was like a huge downpour, like to me. And then he gets back out of the car, goes back into it, comes back to the car, and his jacket would just be totally wet. Like there wouldn't just be raindrops. Like he would be totally wet. And yeah, it wasn't. I thought that was funny. I'm like, oh no, there's no way.
Yeah, those scenes are always tough because they're reshooting,
Yeah.
wardrobe, fresh jacket. How wet
Yeah.
do you get it?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the characters and actors. So we've got Tim Allen playing Luther Crank. First known, well, he was a stand-up comedian apparently, and then broke out with Home Improvement, the 90s TV sitcom. And then again as Buzz Lightyear in the Toy Story series. And relevant to our holiday film countdown, he plays Scott Calvin in The Santa Claus, which obviously will be pretty up there as we move through these films. Then we also have Jamie Lee Curtis, who plays Nora Crank. She is the daughter of old-time Hollywood actor Tony Curtis, and she is known for Halloween, Trading Places, True Lies, and many, many other films. Also, Dan Aykroyd, semi-cameo, but then he really keeps showing up. So at first I thought it was going to be a Dan Aykroyd cameo, but he plays a pretty significant role. He's a Chicago guy, so it's a total fit. He's got the accent and everything. He plays Vic Frohmeyer, I would almost call him the unofficial mayor of the block, maybe the neighborhood, knows everyone, connected, makes things happen, lets you know if you're not doing the right thing. And then a couple of others, just to note, Felicity Huffman, she was on Desperate Housewives. She's married to William H. Macy. Cheech Marin from Cheech and Chong broke out in the 70s. The film I kind of remember as a kid. I didn't know what it was about, but it was called Up in Smoke. And now I know a lot more about Cheech and Chong. But so anyone have any comments on the actors or the characters?
Yeah, I thought Tim Allen did a great job. You know, he kind of plays himself, it seems, in a lot of these movies or roles he's in. There's sort of a consistency across it. But he's super funny and super believable. And Dan Aykroyd, as you mentioned, you know, he does such a fantastic job of playing these sort of characters from the Midwest, and that role of like a Vic Frohmeyer, it sort of seems so natural to him. So I really enjoyed both of them in the film.
Yeah, I liked Jamie Lee Curtis. I thought she was very relatable as a mom, and being so sad that her kid was away for Christmas and kind of torn between going away and staying home. And yeah, she was quite relatable and very funny. I think she was my favorite.
I agree with both of you because I feel like Tim Allen did such a great job with his character role again. Like you said, Geoff, it's kind of like he's almost playing himself with this sarcasm that comes out of him. And then for Jamie Lee Curtis, I thought she did an awesome job of depicting the suburban housewife. You could tell that she's real involved in the community, doing her charity work, and kind of has that typical role that you kind of think of. It's the typical housewife. What about you?
Yeah, she's so selfless. It's what her husband wants, then it's what her daughter wants, then it's what her neighbors want. And she's just that character who does everything for others. And there are real people like that, and it was believable. I felt like she was going to try to make everyone happy, sometimes at her own expense, but she's willing to take on that role.
I thought some of the other characters who maybe didn't have main roles in it really contributed a lot, though. Like Cheech Marin's character, they all had that little niche that they played that helped bring that plot together at the end and sort of build that picture, if you will, of what Christmas is like in the Midwest and who's contributing to making a good Christmas for everyone. Yeah, it was all the folks you mentioned, Tim, I thought did a really good job and really contributed to the success and enjoyment of the film.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Boy Scouts. I thought they were very well done. I enjoyed, they're a little bit cheeky, but they had a sense of community and they did a very nice job. And yeah, those were my favorite minor characters, I think.
What'd y'all think about the character? I think his name was Marty. He came through. So he was Santa selling umbrellas at the beginning. And then he shows up at the liquor store. And then he gets invited to the party. He knows everyone. He knows everything about everyone. A little bit stalkerish. He even brings a hickory honey ham to the party, which I thought would have been much more well received after all Nora went through. Then it was just kind of like, ho hum, he's just got the ham. Anyway, what'd y'all think of him?
I think they were ho-hum because they're all trying to figure out who he is. They're like, he knows all of them. He knows their names. He knows a little bit about each one of them. And they're like, wait, who is this guy? They're trying to figure it out. So I think they were a little preoccupied with, I think I should know him, but I don't, is why they weren't so excited about the ham coming in.
Yeah, I guess to be a little critical, they never really sort of close that loop of how does this guy know everything about everyone, and sort of apparently is a pretty nice guy and is helping everyone. But they never really tied that off. I didn't think so. I mean, sold the umbrellas, but
I think they were trying to do it subtly, right?
Yeah.
At the end when he's like, Santa always works on Christmas Eve. I think he's Santa.
it was probably too subtle for me.
He doesn't look like the Santa we expect. Let's just say that.
Well, he didn't have the beard.
He's too thin.
Too thin. True.
I never heard a jolly laugh,
No.
but
No, he didn't. All right, well, you want to move on to some scenes? So I think one of the funniest scenes is at the beginning when they're at the table and he's like, I got something to show you. And she's thinking, it's something totally different than what he's coming up with. And she starts unbuttoning her Christmas vest to be her sexy self, which I think is so funny. Do you agree with me, Eilish, that that's like one of the funniest, or do you feel like there's another scene that could be one of the funniest?
I kind of enjoyed when they found out that their daughter was coming home, Blair, and how she just sprung into action. Like, she knew what exactly she needed to cook and get and ran to the store and all that. So she was she was on a mission, and I can relate to that. It's like the last minute, getting everything together. So yeah, I enjoyed that part.
Yeah, it was almost like she was waiting for that opportunity.
Yeah.
She was like, yes, finally
Yes.
I can do it. Go be crazy and get
Yeah.
everything for this party.
I thought the Botox scene was hilarious when Tim Allen showed up to lunch with the big eyebrows and the frozen face, and the tanning booth scene was funny too. But all three of those scenes were hilarious.
Yeah, and the priest shows up at the mall.
Yeah.
That's the most spiritual part of this film, I think. I just like the whole HOA overreach situation because I think we can all identify with that a little bit. And why not just move it into a Christmas film, blow it up? And then we all commented as we were watching that every single character in this film was at the party, except for the people she was trying to buy the ham from at the grocery store. I think everyone else came to the
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
and that's just how they do it. It's kind of like Charlie Brown Christmas. Everyone in the show was there at the end.
I think it was funny when Tim Allen, Luther, was at his office and he's writing a letter to his coworkers to tell them, I will not be partaking in any Christmas or receiving any Christmas gifts. And he's going to send it out to all of them, just explaining, like, don't even hit me up with it.
Yeah.
What did it say? It said something like, I'll accept a greet or a Merry Christmas or something. Do you remember that in the letter? But I will receive no gifts, nor will I be giving them.
I will not be participating in the usual holiday rituals. I will buy no gifts and accept none. Thank you anyway. I will not attend the firm's black tie Christmas dinner, nor will I be here for the office party. I am not angry, and I will not yell a bug at anyone who offers me a holiday greeting. I am simply skipping Christmas.
Just warning, right?
He was so committed to it too.
Yes,
He was
very
doing
committed.
So when he's walking through the office and kind of stopping by each desk and making a little comment, it reminded me of that movie Liar Liar with Jim Carrey,
Oh yeah.
where he's going through there repeatedly.
Yep.
It was kind of a similar vibe. I was like, what is this? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know where I'm seeing this before. And just another comment on the scenes. Do you notice that Luther up on the roof, he ties off Frosty, but he doesn't tie off himself? I was like, that was the first sign that this guy's maybe thinking of others.
Well, that's pretty deep.
Well, that roof was so steep that I don't think there's really any possible way that they could really get that Frosty up there. I mean,
There's nothing flat up there,
I know,
but the
yeah.
bottom of Frosty is flat.
Yeah, not to poke at plot holes, but why would you have to string it up on the roof and bring it down the other side? It didn't make a lot of sense, but that's okay.
And the other thing is they kept hounding them the whole time to put up Frosty. Then Frosty gets broken. Then somehow they have another Frosty.
Yeah.
Well, if they already had another Frosty, why were they bugging him the whole time?
Him back together again.
I think you're thinking Humpty Dumpty.
I think so, yes.
That was pretty destroyed.
That's what I was thinking, huh?
All right. Any quotable lines here?
Oh, for sure. It's not even Saturday night.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, that's in Beethoven 1.
Really?
The St. Bernard movie. Same line.
Wow.
That's interesting. I thought that was funny.
Any others?
I have one. It says, she's asking him, Jamie Lee Curtis is asking Luther, why won't you just put up Frosty? Why won't you put him up? And he goes, it's the principle of it now,
Yeah.
Yeah. He dug his heels in.
Yeah. Like,
Absolutely not.
right. It's the principle of it.
So I have one. It's when the Chicago police are reluctant to go pick up Blair from the airport. And Vic Frohmeyer says, shall I call the chief? And that is just so Chicago. I was just like, I'm from New Orleans, so I get that. And it's like, okay, everything's tied in. He knows the alderman. He knows the power people, right? Remember when the power goes out?
Yeah.
You know, someone with the
from
power
Con
company.
Ed. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he is there. He's that guy.
Well, kind of going back to the scenes a little bit, I did take note that when he had to go buy a Christmas tree, well, he was trying to buy a Christmas tree, and from the Boy Scouts, even though he wouldn't at the beginning, he told them no, but now he was in desperate mode. And they sold him one that was like, I don't know, worse than the Charlie Brown tree because it was just dead. He put it on his car, and when he gets home, like wasn't even tied down. He just like, pulls it off of his car, and then he has to borrow his neighbor's.
Yeah, it's a bit of a goof.
Right. All right. Well, what about the moral? Do we have any? Was there a real moral to the story or a main character arc? What do you think?
I think there was a bit of a moral to the story that you can kind of try to reject some of these values and things, but the things that really matter in the end, they do matter in the end, and things come back to them. Mm-hmm. And I think you kind of saw that at the end of the movie, how things sort of wrapped up with the importance of
family and community.
Exactly. Yeah. Family, community, neighbors. And I thought so.
Yeah, even the cynic can't totally debunk all those traditions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And gloss it over and move on and skip to the cruise.
I think they depicted, you know how at the end he's standing outside and he's looking in kind of the picture window of his own house, and he's seeing his wife, his daughter with her fiance, and all the community there laughing, having fun, and enjoying it. And he's looking at it. And then he looks back at the neighbors across the street who are older, and the lady is sick. And it's almost like, to me, it was a reference of sometimes you just have to take a step back to realize what you have, to appreciate it, because sometimes we just get caught up in the little things, or maybe even the monotony of crazy Christmas time of buying the gifts, wrapping, and how it definitely was when they're trying to throw that party together. But then when you take a step back, you realize, what's it about? Well, it's about everyone coming together, right? It's about family, friends, community, just having fun and kind of having each other's back.
I agree. I didn't read this book, and I don't know if Grisham had him standing in the middle of the street looking from a distance, but I could see Chris Columbus, based on his previous films, saying, okay, step back, take a look, and then appreciate what you have.
Yeah, and not to get too deep about it, but I thought it was pretty interesting how they, at the end, you kind of separated the sort of superficial and performative aspects of a holiday like that to ultimately get to the things that really do matter. Like you said, at least your family, your friends, and those things.
All right, time for hot takes. Does anyone have a hot take on this film?
I don't really have a hot take on the film, because I didn't find anything too controversial on it. One kind of personal thing about the film that I thought was funny.
Okay.
Remember when Dan Aykroyd was chasing after her as she left in her Ford Taurus wagon, and he got his gloves stuck in the window? As a kid, I remember growing up in the winter, we would sometimes try to hitch a ride on the bumper of a car during the winter when there was ice. And I remember hitching a ride, the car stopped at a stop sign, grabbed down to the bumper, and kind of rode up the hill for a while. And then ultimately my hands separated from my gloves, and the car drove away with the gloves attached. So that scene meant a lot to me.
That's your relatable scene of the day.
That is, yeah.
All right.
Funny. I did think with that scene, why would you, it's winter, it's very cold, and you're trying to escape the neighbors, but you have your window
down. Yeah.
A little too convenient there, but I can't really think of another hot take. I know you're always good on picking these up, Tim.
I've got at least a couple here. So I'm going to say Blair is a little entitled. I mean, you're going to call up the day of, I'm coming home and I expect that you've done everything that I want you to do for me. My special, a hickory honey ham and a caramel cream pie and Frosty and the tree and the party. Life moves on. I mean,
That's true. It's good.
They will have kids of her own one day.
Yeah, but she wasn't saying, I need you to do all this for me. She just thought it was already going to be done, in her defense. Because that's what had happened
for the last 23 years, yeah.
That's right.
All right, I have another hot take.
Uh-huh.
I think the neighbors look like Who's from Whoville. If you look at all the characters they picked out their faces, it kind of reminds me of The Grinch. But the little kids and then the neighbors, they look like folks you'd see in The Grinch Who Stole Christmas.
I could kind of see what
Yeah,
you're
I
saying.
can. Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
I guess it's not that hot, but it's a take.
A lukewarm take.
Lukewarm take.
You have another one?
Now I'll stop there.
All right, well, let's talk about the parent guide. It's PG, and I think it's appropriate to be PG. I don't think there wasn't any bad language or anything. There was a little sexual innuendo, but that would go right over a young kid's head, and I don't think they would get it. So I think it's totally family appropriate for, everyone of all ages, and I would be totally comfortable watching this movie with my mother or my grandmother.
Yeah,
So,
totally agree. And I think it's any age could watch the movie. It was, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think they did a good job with the appealing to a broad audience, for sure.
Definitely. All right, soundtrack. So Little Steven Van Zandt produced this soundtrack. He goes by Little Stevie. He is a member of Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, and he also played Silvio in The Sopranos. There are 20 plus traditional Christmas songs on this soundtrack, and I tried to figure out which ones weren't there, and I found maybe Silent Night, Silver Bells. Those are the only two I could come up with. And then we have a rendition of White Christmas by Little Stevie. And then also of note, there's an original Christmas song by the Ramones here called Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight. And that is played when they're getting ready for the party. And I also noticed it on the trailer. Any comments on the soundtrack?
Well, I enjoyed this soundtrack. I mean, anything that has a range from, Brenda Lee to the Ramones is pretty good. And I thought the soundtrack as well added to the film. And it was, and I thought Little Stevie's rendition was great. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Great.
yeah, I like when there's lots of, even if it's just in the background, even if it's not in the forefront for Christmas movies, to have the music, because to me in my head, when they start playing the Christmas songs on the radio, then it's Christmas time, so it just gives me that feeling of Christmas. So I thought they did a really good job because there was a lot of Christmas music.
And we had our cliche scene at the mall during a Christmas movie. And there's always Christmas music when they're at the mall in a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
That happened here.
All right. Well, Eilish, if you have to rate this movie, which we want you to, 1 to 5, 5 being the best, what would you rate it and why?
I think for humor, I would rate it 4.5. I think it was probably one of the more humorous Christmas movies I've seen in a long time. It's not as humorous as my favorite movie, but which we'll get to. But I enjoyed the humor and enjoyed the music, and I thought the characters were pretty strong. So yeah, 4.5.
All right. And you, Geoff, what are you rating this?
I'd give it a 4.25.
Wow.
I thought
very
it was
precise.
Yeah, very precise. I thought it was, like Eilish said, the characters are good. It was a really funny movie, and it brought a lot of Christmas themes into it. The music was good. Acting was great. The only thing, it got a little bit disjointed at the end, perhaps. So that was the only knock against it. But I thought it was a really enjoyable movie. And for a family movie to sit around and watch around the holidays, definitely.
I'm going to give it a 3.5. I like it because it is family friendly. And I feel like, especially Christmas in our house, we have multiple generations. And sometimes we're always looking like, what's something that we can all do that everyone can enjoy? And I feel like this would be a movie that we could put on that everyone would enjoy. But I felt like there were a lot of holes in the movie. So I feel like after your ratings, I was a little harsh, but I'm sticking to it. I really feel like it's a 3.5.
Same here. I'm so glad that you both really liked it. I'm in the low threes on this. I'm going to go 3.3.
Oh.
It's fun to watch, but the films to come are just higher quality. It has Chris Columbus, which is great. The cast is good, and I like it more than most, but that's about as high as I can go on this one. and it kind of slots right in there where it is.
All right. Well, with the rating that you gave us, what would have a 5, Eilish? Like, what's your favorite holiday film?
I enjoy Elf.
Elf.
Yeah, it's kind of want to watch that every Christmas. I think that's the one I enjoy. It's just the excitement for Christmas, I think, always makes me ready for the day. Yeah, that's my favorite.
And that's your 5.
Maybe 4.75.
All right. And you, Geoff, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Well, I can't narrow it down to one, so I'm gonna choose 2.
Two works.
You know, I'm nostalgic, so I like It's a Wonderful Life. And then second is a sentimental favorite, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It was my son's favorite as a little kid, and he couldn't get enough of it. And we probably watched it together literally 500 times. We both knew, or all 3 of us knew, the dialogue to the entire movie. So those 2.
All right. I know those 2 well.
Yeah. It's always special when you have those memories either as a kid or with your own child, right? Watching them grow up. It definitely puts a different place in your heart for the film.
Yeah, I know maybe some Yukon Cornelius.
There you go.
All right. So, Eilish, would you recommend this film to anyone? And if so, who would you recommend it to watch?
I think it's a great multi-generational family movie because if grandma's in the house and you've got some younger kids, I think everybody can watch this movie together. It's not too childish for grandma, but I think most of the themes would work with younger kids as well.
And you, Geoff, would you recommend it? And if so, to whom?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I agree with everything Eilish said. It's a great movie to watch, multi-generational, as you're sitting around looking for things to do over the holidays with, grandparents, grandkids, and everybody in between. This would be a fun movie to watch.
So in the next 10 years, how many times do you think you'll watch this film?
3.
3, that's a good number. On a 3-year rotation. There you go.
It's honest. Eilish, is there anything that you would like to promote while you're here? I don't know, your socials, anything? No?
No, thank you.
I'd like to promote a healthy lifestyle and clean living.
All right.
How do you do that, Geoff?
No comment.
Modeling good behavior.
Yeah. No comment.
Thank you for joining this discussion of our 47th ranked film, Christmas with the Kranks. Please like, follow, and comment on this podcast.
Yes, please share and spread the word about Holiday Film Countdown. Thank you, Eilish and Geoff, for joining us. And thanks to all our listeners. Next week, we're moving on to our 46th ranked holiday film, which will take us to the North Pole.